I'm rolling. I'm primed and ready.
Okay, then I'm also rolling. Do you have something funny to say? Because I don't really.
Not really. I had a couple
All right,
of
here's
things,
what...
but they're gone now. They're lost in the liquor.
Excellent. Well, okay, I think this is a great opportunity then to, every once in a while we have a very special episode. And, we joke a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun here. We have a lot of
goofs. We take things pretty
larks.
seriously most of the time. But, in light of recent events, I think it's finally time we come clean and admit that the reason we know each other actually in the first place is because we are, in fact, victims of James Gunn and his child touching. If I don't know about, you never really told me your story because you seemed very, I didn't really want to press you.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that tremendously.
I'm sure it's a very sensitive topic for you, but for me personally, he ambushed me. This is difficult for me too, but I feel like it's important to get the information out there. He ambushed me in a Chuck E. Cheese ball pit in 2003. I was working my way through, and he pulled me under like a Viet Cong and sucked my 7-year-old dick for about 12 minutes.
It's the only thing that can make people record 3 years worth of anime podcasts that nobody listens to is some sort of shared trauma that you need to get over.
Exactly.
Me personally, I was never actually, I don't know if this is kosher for me to say, but I was never actually firsthand. I've never met James Gunn. I've never been in the same room as James Gunn to my knowledge, but I was personally affected by his tweets. Not to diminish what you experienced. Terrible, of course. But I found his tweets to be in such poor form, and it made me think about what if I was somebody who was molested.
I
think we're the real victims here. People who read his tweets on the internet, which were joking about his horrible, horrible crimes that, again, not to diminish what happened to you, but we need to think about people like myself who, a lot of us are scared to come out against James Gunn, but this is really giving me the courage that I need to talk about how I was offended by the tweets of somebody that writes comedy for a living.
The weird thing is that he molested me as a 7-year-old, and then like the next year I went and saw Dawn of the Dead, and I knew it was written by him, and I still enjoyed it quite a bit. It's a decent film.
Well, I mean, you can separate the artist from the art.
Yeah, exactly.
That's important.
I had a good time. That intro is a classic. And if I had to get my dick sucked for that, so be it.
Look, if I had to choose between being raped as a child and Dawn of the Dead 2004 not existing, you better bet my buns would be buttered right now. I had another bit.
Okay, great. Yeah, roll into it. Let's transition.
Gangsta Watch 2018.
Okay.
We have yet
another.
You
even need
victim.
To watch anymore?
We have another. I stopped watching after the first episode. We have another victim of.
Wait, what are you talking about? You're not talking about actual gangsters?
No. Well, I mean, I'm talking about our boy, the Skittle boy himself, Skittle Dread, Takashi 69.
Oh, okay.
They got him.
Wait. I was like, wait, he's not a gangsta.
He frequently asks people to test his gangsta. He's like, hey.
Well, I mean, I'm sure he says that.
And apparently he doesn't have the chops to back it up.
He doesn't have the cardio. Have you seen? We've seen him run. So many videos of him running, and it's so good. What did he? I saw him on a hospital bed. Did he was in a feud with someone? Someone finally get him?
No, this was another random act of violence. He was mugged, and they stole like $100,000 worth of shit off of him. Actually, no. I think it was more. I think it was like $750,000 worth of jewelry was stolen off of him. Which,
perfect.
If you're actually about it, not to keep that much jewelry on you.
I can't believe that Tekashi 6699 is not actually with it. is not actually about it.
He seems to have some sort of poor impulse control and maybe some problems making decisions that are going to dramatically affect his life.
Weird. He should take. I wonder if he needs some medication to take care of that. Maybe he's just so stressed from this hard life of rapping. He could use some benzodiazepines, maybe some Xanax.
Yeah, believe me, he's thoroughly medicated.
Oh, okay. I mean, just
speaking of thoroughly medicated, so CBD oil.
Oh, right. Update on the CBD oil.
So I having taken CBD oil for a week or something, which again not a side effect of the CBD oil by any stretch. My long-term memory is completely unaffected. However, I realized it wasn't strong enough, so I just started taking bong rips all the time.
Oh, I see. So CBD bong rips.
No, just weed.
Oh,
I've
just started tons of weed.
Yeah, and now my pain's gone.
Oh, I see.
And so what I've done is I've created, this is a hot tip for all you kids out there. I've made a gravity bong out of a large goldfish container. You know how goldfish come in the boxes? A lot of people don't know this, but it's a metal lining on the inside, and that's actually pretty good.
Put water in there?
Yeah, so I've made a gravity bong out of a goldfish box in a gallon, or like a multiple gallon. You know, like Home Depot has those buckets you can buy that have Homer on the side. Yeah, and I've just been taking rips off of that while on the clock, and that's taking care of most of my pain.
That's nice. So, like ibuprofen, did you try like Advil, or you just went? You didn't go straight to
you want
CBD?
Me to you want me to poison myself with these? Or you want me to take the pills from the man? Oh my god! No,
I would never.
The candy man's gonna fucking shove these pills down my throat when there's an herb growing in my backyard. Pounds and pounds and pounds of it growing in my backyard.
I shouldn't have even considered keeping your mental functions intact. Why would you even?
You're gonna toxify yourself with Advil and ibuprofen.
You know what they put in that shit? Yeah, all I've done lately is I bought a little ceramic donut attachment for my vape pen that lets me smoke DMT. And that does great things for my pain. Because instead of having pain, I'm just seeing a squid wiggle in front of me and laughing at it. Rainbow squid. So that's a really good distraction for about 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'm really feeling the... I was just thinking, if this weed stuff is... Because I could feel my tolerance building. Feeling my tolerance building. I might just start taking like 2 tabs of acid every morning and rolling off of that.
Okay,
it's not natural like weed is, but it's also not fucking shoveled down your throat by
just
the man.
Turn into one of those guys. It's just like, I microdosed. I took 40 micrograms today. It's just like a low dose of acid.
Yeah, so it's like not enough to have fun, but just enough to have your body tingle. You can feel the electricity running through your fingertips.
Exactly.
Anime.
Oh yeah, I want to do some anime.
Yeah, let's do it. We're watching all of it. It's
part 3, and we are watching all of it. And this part 3, oh, you did watch Phantom and the Twilight. Okay, all right. But our first show was Ongaku Shoujo.
Yes.
Which I guess translates to Music Girls.
Yes, in my subs, the name of this group is Music Girls.
Great. This is by Dean. Remember Dean? And it's an original program.
How could I forget?
No source material. Who's getting this one? Rock, paper, scissors.
That's all you, baby.
That's me. I won.
Yeah, a real winner.
This is an idol show, as you might have guessed. So the first shot here is of a plane, and the plane looks like ass. First shot of the show.
Oh yeah.
And we go. It's just a plane landing, and then right into the opening here. And it's idol stuff, dancing. So it's a girl. She's flown to Japan. She's in an airport. There's a lot of bad CG going on. They're playing the music from these idol girls. It's the same as all other idol music from any idol show.
Very upbeat, poppy stuff.
I'm kind of surprised it wasn't noticeably worse than all the other. I guess it's all so terrible that it doesn't. That you can't really get.
You just plug all the voice you just have the girls sing notes into a computer, and then the computer will then compose music based on that. There's no longer a need for any sort of real composition now. It's done by Google.
I think Microsoft has something that does that. Is the first thing I noticed, one of the first things I noticed about this show, the great thing, is that everyone who is not an idol is drawn from far away and looks like absolute garbage.
Yes.
Like no detail, stick figure looking, not as a stylistic choice, but just you can tell it's totally obvious they only put effort into the girls, which is smart, actually. But
I would say it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, but it's still really funny when you notice, because you look at the background characters and they look like hilariously simple.
What are you doing looking at those background characters? There's adorable
right.
soft idols on the screen.
It's true. So these idols are performing at an airport because you have to start at the bottom, and they're talking backstage, and they're informed that no one's really shown up for their concert, and one of the first characters we're introduced to says in order to get more people, she's going to do her salt thing, which is actually hilarious. I did find it very funny, the idea that she has some salt thing. She's going to do the salt thing, and they just keep referring to it as the salt thing.
But she herself refers to it as the salt thing,
right?
Not, instead of like a ritual of some kind,
right? Yeah. So they have this manager, and instead of the sort of straight-laced managers that you'll find in like Idolmaster, this one is pretty flamboyant.
This one's he's
animated.
Just gay. He's a little bit gay.
He's a little bit gay. I said the F word, but I meant just gay. The girl that flew in, she's a foreign girl who loves idolus, and then they start performing. The girls start performing, and to my great surprise, the plane was CG, but the idol dancing fully animated. And when I say fully, I mean barely at all. And it is not
very
just
stilted, not
just bad, but actually kind of. I'm being serious. It's kind of unnerving.
Have you seen the new It film? Have you seen the It film from 2017?
Imagine that, but at like 2 frames a second. How much scarier it would be.
Yeah, there's an uncanny thing happening here where like there's just like arms flailing back and forth instantly, and there's like blur lines drawn in there, but they don't actually have the frames.
They don't have the blur effect.
Right.
It's terrifying, and I was actually begging, like, okay, I was wrong. Go back to the CG, please go back. So a girl gets recruited for the idols, and she's talking to everyone backstage, and she immediately picks up on all the moves they're doing. She just like goes right into their routine.
This is so ridiculous.
Because she's whatever. She's a savant. I don't care about that. And then the idols start doing it with her, and then she's nitpicking them. Fucking bitch.
You don't even know what an idol is.
At this point, we're like 18 minutes in, and I'm realizing, like, oh god, this whole episode took place in an airport, didn't it? Fuck. So meanwhile, while this girl's hanging out with all these...
That's why I was so anxious the entire time.
Hanging out with... Yeah. It's an underlying kind of stress. While this girl's hanging out with these idols, meanwhile, her dad is having this bit where he's totally freaking out, which is pretty good because he's just shouting her name everywhere and just having a crisis.
I've seen this.
And then I don't know why they do this, I don't know if it's a contest or if it's to test her or something, but they put her out on stage and have her sing to prove her idol abilities. And I think the bit is supposed to be that her singing is very bad compared to her choreography, which is fantastic. But her singing's not bad.
It's raw, but you can tell that she could be a decent singer.
Yeah, it's exactly what live singing actually sounds like. It's literally fine, and everyone, like the way everyone's reacting it's as if like she's completely tone deaf.
She's beyond any sort of hope, and that
like the opposite of savantism, but it's totally acceptable.
But it's like I've heard worse singing from artists this year. You're very right, and this was my takeaway from it as well. Is like, you girl's got some unrealistic expectations if you think she's that bad. This girl's rolled up today. You didn't know her 20 minutes ago, and now you're going to judge her singing?
She's been on a plane for 13 hours.
Look, her dancing is perfect. That's what really matters. If you need to, You could make her like a background singer. It's not that big of a
No,
deal.
they're idols. They don't even need to sing well. Like, it literally doesn't matter. There's going to be 18 other voices singing with her. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways,
So, yeah.
dude, when you have a chorus of 30 people, it's gonna sound good regardless. Like, it just doesn't matter. It sounds
Probably.
epic.
Yeah. Do the Halo thing.
Hit me.
What?
I just spilled fucking drink all over myself.
Oh. It seems like you do that a lot.
This one is I just put sparkling water and then some grapefruit vodka and some orange mixer into a cup, and now I'm drinking it.
Okay.
It's all right. A little bit grapefruit heavy for my taste.
Okay, but you also spilled some on you.
Now I currently have this sugary water all over my crotch.
You woke up with some liquor on you and with some liquor in you.
Yes. Wake up in the morning feeling like P. Diddy.
This show's not good. It looks like ass.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it. But yeah.
We try to be polite here.
Yeah, we don't want to insult anybody on this podcast. We've been known for having pretty reserved opinions. All of our reviews fall within like the 6 to 8 range.
We're basically the IGN of anime.
Yeah, exactly. It's like too much water, like that's kind of what we're about. But in this particular instance, I think this show's bad. I'm gonna give it a 5.
There you go.
No, but the girl, one takeaway though. Every girl is really cute. I like the one that's got glasses. I like her.
I believe it. I don't remember.
There's a girl who's a little bit she's a bit alternative.
Oh, I see.
And she's got glasses and she kind of revels in everything that's fucked up, like everything that's going wrong. She's like, "Oh, this is great. Everything's wrong."
Cool.
Cute.
Yeah.
Anyways,
wish they could have been drawn better. Our next show is I think I spelled this wrong. It's Hataraku Saibou.
Yes.
Not Hararaku Saibou. What are you doing, man? Hataraku Saibou, Cells at Work. Mm-hmm. This is a manga adaptation by David Production. And this is what I referenced last episode when you referenced platelets, and I thought you were talking about this show. But you weren't. That was just weird.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. It comes full circle.
It always does.
Here we are. And that's the thing, is that we weave these little meta-narratives throughout all of our episodes. I don't know if people are aware of them. By people, I mean Robin Mask. But anyways.
Well, also the many search engine robots that download our podcast and put them on aggregate sites. So
anyways, Hataraku Saibou, I got this one.
Excellent. Hold on. Let me just...
Yeah, go ahead.
I need to get the obligatory Osmosis Jones joke out of the way.
Have you realized that this is very similar to Osmosis Jones in terms of what the context and subject material the show is?
The premise? Yes, I have noticed that.
Isn't that humorous?
Yes.
Anyways.
Yeah.
So, I didn't know anything about this show going into it.
As usual.
The opening of this show leaves me with more questions than answers.
Oh, yeah.
I was watching the opening, I'm like, what the fuck could this show possibly be? And then my next note immediately is, it's a show about the cells in the human body.
Yeah.
Anyways, we meet this little red blood cell. She's a cutie patootie.
Kana Hanazawa.
Booty.
Finally showing up in this season.
She delivers oxygen, as red blood cells are wont to do.
And carbon dioxide. Don't forget.
Yes, of course. Yes, you can't have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect balance. Tao, as Tao would say. Anyways, so she goes about her day delivering oxygen, and then the ground splits open, and then a virus or a germ fucking appears and starts attacking all the cells. And the white blood cells show up, and they start laying a fucking beat down on this fool. By the way, all of these characters are represented by humanoid people.
Yeah, they're just
the inside of the body is presented as like kind of a city, like a walled city or enclosed city of some kind. So the white blood cells start laying a beat down, and the white blood cells are all stoic and cool, which I like a lot. That's a good characterization for the white blood cell. So RBC, which is what I'm referring to, red blood cell from now on.
Yes.
Thanks, WBC, white blood cell. And he says that it's just his job, because there's one there. There are plenty of these characters, but only one of them from the red blood cell and the white blood cell is highlighted. Those are like our primary characters in the show. There's one of each. So they killed most of the germs, but one of them managed to get away. And then the red blood cell goes about her day, and she's trying to find her way to the lungs, right? And
yes.
She gets caught up in all these different parts of the body. At one point, she finds her way to the lymph duct and gets threatened by cytotoxic T cells, who are like, "Don't come in here. Red blood cells are allowed."
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, she opens the door and walks in on the germ because she's lost, and and the germ starts attacking her, and then white blood cell shows up again and hits the germ with some sort of attack, and apparently the germ is pneumonia. I realized this because it was pneumococcus. Pneumococcus, yes, thank you. So the white blood cell and red blood cell try to track down this pneumonia virus because it'll, fuck the body up pretty good if it keeps going. And the germ is heading for the lungs. So they make their way to the lungs, and one of the primary passageways to the lungs is blocked by some platelets who are just adorable. Just so
the
cute.
Platelets
They're like
are little kids.
They're little kids. They're so cute.
Oh, and I love the imagery of, they're like, they all need to deal with this big pile of boxes that represents something.
Yep.
So they're all like, cluttered around it, like jumping, like platelets would actually be. That's a good bit.
So cute. So at this point, it's been the body realizes that there's a germ on the loose somewhere in the body, and the T cells from earlier, they're on the case. They're a bunch of badasses, and
Yes.
Apparently all the
T cells are very gung ho compared to the other ones, the lympho.
more stoic white blood cells. So the red blood cell and white blood cell part ways, and then homegirl she finds her way to the lungs, but that white blood cell led her to the lungs, but she gets lost in the capillaries. And the germ, what a twist, was actually inside of her payload the entire time. She's wheeling around this box, right, or carrying this box, and then it turns out the germ was inside of the box.
I believe that can actually happen. I think that's a metaphor. I think maybe pneumococcus can hitch a ride in a red blood cell, perhaps.
I believe it. The entire time I'm like, this is probably real. They probably did the research to make this be real.
Yes, although it's actually quite normal for pneumococcus to reside in the respiratory system. It only becomes pathogenic normally when the immune system is weak or compromised or suppressed.
They mentioned earlier in the episode that it was weak or compromised.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they did.
I didn't notice that.
Already mentioned.
Damn. This show's got it fucking on lock.
Yeah, no, it's airtight. I looked it up. So she's trapped. All hope is lost. And then, lo and behold, white blood cell shows up. And there's an epic choral swell in the music. And then white blood cell fights the germ. And it's, again, like the white blood cell's overpowered, but he leads the germ into some mucus. Mm-hmm. And then the germ gets snotted out. It gets sneezed out. And they won. And then red white blood cell and white blood cell, RBC and WBC, share a moment as they watch the rocket launch, and that's it. The red blood cell asks if she'll ever see the white blood cell again. He says no, because there's just so many of them, but she's disheartened by this answer, but he's like, well, in all likelihood, we'll see each other again, because it's meant to be.
Mm.
I like it. I like the show. I don't know. It's such a universal topic. It's something that everybody can relate to because it's happening inside of our own bodies.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, this is a show that I should have seen this coming, but like, people love this shit, and it has like the most, probably the most civil and like fun threads of the season, and everyone's just talking about it because it's just easy to fucking just shoot shit about biological terms when they're anthropomorphized. I just thought it was, at first I was like, what, like it's explaining things so rudimentary that I was like, is this a show for infants? Like, at first it's just so it's like infotainment,
Right.
And
which we see a lot of the time. We see that in anime. There's like one every season where it's like, this is explicitly designed as educational material.
But not like as a not like the way like American educational material is, where it's like mandated and it has to be,
Right.
You know, it's just like they did it because they wanted to. But it's pretty simple. You know, like it's not. There's not a ton of style to it. It's mostly just like the premise is silly and kind of fun. I have a problem. How one of the first scenes, they get blood on them. Like the red blood cell gets blood on her. What?
Those are atoms, dude.
But atoms of...
Those are nutrients all over them.
But she is blood. How can she get blood?
Are you trying to dissect this show in which cells in the human body are anthropomorphized? You're totally missing the point, bro.
Mm-hmm. Wouldn't a bacterium be a lot smaller than a red blood cell? Also?
Wow.
Why is
You're totally missing the point.
Why is the CO2 in boxes, but the oxygen is like sandwiches and baskets and shit?
I think it's more nutrients than just the oxygen.
But why isn't it in a box? I guess it doesn't.
Well, but you had to put your sandwich in a cardboard box?
I don't. Okay, I guess the CO2 is like represented by junk or something. I don't know. I guess we don't know what's in the box yet.
These are scoff noises.
Yeah, you're just gonna make scoff. No. Can't critique this show. It's just too.
Anyway, I liked it. I don't think it's great, but I also, I enjoyed watching it. I thought it was a cute premise. Again, it's not something I would actively watch, but I liked the first episode just fine.
Yeah, same for me. It's got some charm, but I don't know if I could sit through that much of it because I kind of feel like it's gonna be. Although I did see a page from the manga that was like, it was zombies, and they were just like, "Oh no, cancer!" It's like, "Oh shit, shit's getting gonna get serious."
Oh my god, this is all taking place inside of one person's body.
It's Bill Murray, man. He's not taking care of himself.
Oh my god,
it's still him. It's always him.
Bill Murray has his fingertips. He's got his fingers in all these pies. Bill Murray's had one of the most prolific careers. Isn't it crazy?
He's the standard male body.
Have you seen maybe standard American male body? Anyways, have you seen Wayne's World recently?
Not recently.
I just watched Wayne's World last week for the first time in probably a decade. Mm-hmm. That's a funny movie.
Oh yeah.
That's a really funny. Like there are comedies that I acknowledge as being like, that's a good comedy film. There's a lot of yucks in that one. But Wayne's World, there's some really like next level shit happening in that movie.
Wayne's World is good shit. Yeah.
You know how his lady in that movie is like, she's Chinese in descent and speaks Cantonese?
Yeah. Yes.
There's a scene where he's learned Cantonese and he's trying to speak. He's like speaking to her in Cantonese, and he's so much more literate and
right.
and articulate than he is in English. And that scene had me fucking crying. I thought that was the funniest fucking thing ever. It's so good because he's taking the time to learn something so that he can relate to somebody that he's interested in and loves. And he puts so much effort into it. I love it. That's a great scene. This isn't related to the episode in any way. No. I just think it's very, very cute and funny. I
remember even Wayne's World 2 being pretty good.
I have not seen Wayne's World 2. I'll have to polish off the sequel at some point.
Yeah, I think there's some good shit in there.
Hold on. I'm going to go grab a beer really quick before we... Or actually, hold on. What show is this?
This is... Well, it's still called The Three Weebos, I guess.
No, what show is this that we're about to talk about?
Oh, we're about to talk about Hyakuren no Haou to Seiyaku no Valkyria.
All right, start talking about it.
No, we're taking a break, is what we're doing.
What? Oh, this show doesn't deserve my attention.
Oh, fucking deal with it, baby.
Oh.
Welcome back.
We back.
we are back with Seiyaku no Valkyria with a bunch of stuff before it.
Oh,
Show,
boy.
a light novel adaptation by EMT Squared, known for Nyanko Days, Renai Bokun, Urahara, Alice or Alice, Kumamiko, along with
All
Kina
of my
Sisters.
favorite shows.
All of our favorites. I like Kumamiko a lot. Way more
That's
than
a
most
good one.
people. People lost their fucking... That doesn't matter. I'm not going to explain Kumamiko to you. Kumamiko caused a shitstorm that it did not deserve. So, I was about to watch this. Didn't think it would be very good. What were your first impressions?
Well, I saw something that looked like Seikai in the title. And it's just like, look, you're trying to fool me with this thing that's got... There's a couple other letters in there that
You
makes
switched
it
them
not look
around a
ton.
bit.
I'm like, I see through you, Japan.
Okay, I assume you want me to do this one because you do not sound super psyched about this show.
Okay, get it. It's yours.
Okay, all right. No wonder you fucking hate this show. Right off the bat, acapella la-ing. I immediately wrote Ethan on fucking suicide watch.
My legs are tensing up just thinking about it.
Acapella singing, and it's just la-las.
It's like she's got a lot of titties, but she don't got no ass.
It's the trifecta. You fucking keel over right there.
I just spilled more beer.
Yeah, she's a naked girl in a lake or something. I love.
That's at least 15% of my beer spilled over this.
Oh my god, Jesus, that's like an ounce of beer. I love, as a side note, as a not ass man as much as most people. Instead of being angry, Japan's refusal to draw ass is so funny to me.
It's not refusal. I think it's ignorance. I think they just don't know that asses
They
exist.
don't know that ass can do that. They don't know the things it can accomplish. Oh, I love it. It's so good. So yeah, it's a boy and a girl, they're talking, and there's gonna be a big battle, to, and it's just there's a battle happening and it looks like shit, and I just wrote my brain. And then the next note is, I can't. So the one chick calls him, or they say Nei-chan or Ni-san or something, implying she's a sister. I don't think she is. It seems like this is really just another, I brought a cell phone to the Isekai show, so I'm a genius because I can look up the Wikipedia article for Sun Tzu or whatever. So it seems like he's stealing ancient battle techniques from historical figures to fight in this sort of medieval war land, a lot of conflict, and apparently this world is called Yggdrasil, which is the fucking tree, idiot.
Tree of
You
life?
can't call the whole place Yggdrasil. Fucking, it's just they took all the fantasy stuff and just kind of put it. So, obviously the flaw here, as it is in all of these shows, is that you could just grab some blueprints or specs from modern microprocessors, and instead of living in a gigantic, Mongol war empire, you could be living in modern times in 10 years tops.
What about how? Here, I'll take you one further, or not even one further. Just a simpler notion. How about a gun? How about just a gun? You just I got the designs for a gun.
Yeah, you could just have people make guns. It's I don't know what his the one thing that the one excuse he could have, I said, was that if his refusal to invent modern technology to improve the obviously dismal conditions he lives in was that he has a harem of women that he wants to fuck for a while before he gets to that. That would be a good excuse. It's I just want to enjoy my harem for a while. That's perfectly valid. Except,
of course.
They offer up that
He won't
coochie,
do it!
and he obviously will not do it. These fuck. We'll get to that though. So yeah, this world has like centuries of killing ahead of it, obviously, and he's just letting it happen. So,
which I guess if you were to follow Machiavelli would make sense, because if you enter, and take over a country of some kind, you want to make sure that they're living in a similar lifestyle to what they had before, because otherwise they won't attribute these successes to you. They'll attribute the successes to themselves.
Sure.
You're a footnote instead of a period. He's got the idea.
So he has sort of his right hand lady who's like an archer, big titty archer, who's sort of sisterly, they're friendly. And then there's sort of this warrior sword girl who I like a lot. And as a reward for her success in battle, she requests only head pats, which is so good. This show sucks, but man, there's a lot of stuff about it I like. So from the enemy in their big battle, they capture this girl who they want to, I guess, join them and form an alliance, but she refuses. And as they're interrogating her and trying to bring her over, Warrior Girl does a very funny table punch, just like to intimidate her, just fucking punches the table in half. And I think she reluctantly agrees to she sort of capitulates at some point. And then after all this interrogation, I guess my dude is just so exhausted that he just falls out of a chair, out of his throne. So they're, I forget what's going on really. They're visiting a town and everyone loves him. He's like a procession. What's the word? Whatever. It's like a parade.
I gotta give this show one thing.
Yeah.
Before I forget.
Besides the girls?
Because the liquor's taken over.
As it often does.
This show doesn't fucking beat around the bush. It does. We don't ever see him in the normal world, and I respect that, because this, like, a lot of isekais are like, we got to get you into the world. Nope, not here. He's in the world.
Yeah, it's
and
like
no question that you're going to see the
I'm
other
glad
world.
they spared us that. It's like, you know what happened, right? I mean, I guarantee you, there's an episode that's just a flashback that tells us exactly what happened. But at least they skipped it right off the bat.
When will there be an isekai deconstruction?
Oh, that's a good question.
I want to deconstruct the isekai as a Westerner. I want to make a film that's just like an isekai, but everything sucks.
Well, no, it's not. Deconstructions are like, because how would you deconstruct? It's like.
Well, you get to the other world and you're a slave. You get to the other world and you have no sort of actual tangible skills and you're a slave.
That's okay, yeah, because it's not just, you can't just make shit darker. You have to subvert. Like how, like how Watchmen takes it's like there's.
Well, it takes the idea of the villain explaining to you his grand plan, but that's actually part of his plan is explaining it to you, so you don't have time to stop his plan. It's like,
and
in this instance, it's like you wash up on a beach somewhere, and then you're actually worthless in this world, and people just assume you're a slave because you're so weak and meager.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't just have a whole show where like a dude's a slave. It's just like, I gotta transfer to another world, and it's like, maybe that's now and then here and there. I've heard that's like they get transferred to another world, and that's supposed to be like one of the darkest shows ever made. So maybe that's a deconstruction of an isekai 15 years ago.
Like everybody around him gets killed. Like it's
deconstruction is a critique of the relationship between words and meaning, man. You can't just fucking make shit darker.
Oh my god. Well, I'm a realist over here.
Okay.
Like my realist beliefs, I think there's something that transcends words, and it's the literal representation of the concepts. I can't actually put them into words, Declan.
I don't even know what we're saying anymore. It just feels like isekai is like, it has so few tropes because it's so simple that you actually can't deconstruct it because there's nothing to deconstruct. It's like,
give me 5 years. I got it.
It's like, I keep thinking of Watchmen, and it's like Watchmen, there's like, I forgot what happened in Watchmen because I only saw the movie, but I was reading the Wikipedia article, and it's like, what was his name? Nightwing? It's like he's the third Nightwing because the other two died, which is like a meta aspect of comics because they're always replacing their guys, but they did that literally.
Yes.
And it's like, what would be the equivalent in an isekai? And
have you? So you're at least interested in Watchmen, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, I'm reading the best comic ever written right now.
What's that?
It's Doom Patrol by Grant Morrison.
Oh, right. Doom.
Holy
yes.
fuck! Read Doom Patrol. Holy shit! I'm like, I found myself on a grand Grant Morrison adventure because I'd previously enjoyed his writing when I was an adolescent and into my late teens, and I've recently rediscovered his works, and he's easily the best comic writer of all time. First of all, let's get that out of the way. Mm-hmm. And second of all, he's the greatest psychedelic author of all time because nobody understands psychedelics like Grant Morrison. I can't even. You need to read Doom Patrol. Buy all 3 volumes and read it in one sitting. I'm telling you this right now. You'll love it.
Okay.
It's fucking incredible.
That'll be my first comic book, and it'll just ruin comic books forever for me.
I'll send you the first volume of Doom Patrol because I own it. It's just imagine a team of superheroes where all of their superpowers is a curse. Damn. And all that it does is make their lives way harder.
I thought I had heard of Doom Patrol, but then I just realized that you totally mentioned it in the last episode also.
It's maybe the most important piece of media in my life right now.
Oh, that's cool. Okay,
anyways,
we got to finish
back
up.
To this isekai bullshit.
Valkyria here, yeah. I got to think about how you would deconstruct isekai.
Hey, Valkyria here to talk to you about isekai.
When we have a website, I should write a whole thing about how you would do that. Anyways, so they visit the town. Everyone loves him. Then that's when he talks to someone back in the real world who might be his friend or his sister. We're not really sure. On the phone, he's like, yeah, I'm okay.
She got a cute voice, though.
Yeah, and we see her, and we see the real world, and she's looking out her window. And then he wakes up in the morning, he's got a boner. And the 2 ladies greet him. He's like, hey, you want us to take care of that? And they're just like, we're down for it. And he's like, yeah, no. He kills thousands of men with his armies, but he will not fuck a girl. Fuck this guy. Fuck this show. So they have this ritual where the captured girl joins their group. Then they're having a meeting. The Horn tribe is getting invaded by the Hoof tribe. He demands that they intervene against the will of his sort of advisors. And they're in the situation room, sort of. And I swear some of the guys are just like wearing T-shirts, like they didn't even bother drawing like old-timey, ancient Bronze Age clothing on them.
Right.
My last note here is just angry wolf daddy. I don't know what that means.
He's upset. He tells them to shut their mouths.
Oh, is he the wolf? They're the wolf tribe? Is that it?
He's the wolf daddy. He punches the table and bleeds.
Okay, he's the wolf daddy. He's mad. The show blows ass.
No, I don't like that one.
No.
No, sir, thank you. Not very...
If everything about the show was exactly the same and he fucked the girls, I'd be fine with it. 100%. I'm not even joking. No problem. It's like that's the only thing. Why? You're a warlord.
I don't like it.
A warlord has to include sex lord, or else there's nothing. Fuck it. I don't even want to talk about this anymore.
I've reached every season I reach this point where I'm just like the isekai, the third isekai of the season rolls around, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch this, and I'm going to accept my fate, and there's nothing that can be done about it. I will be watching an isekai for these 24 minutes. Yeah. And the novelties of these isekai might be enjoyable, but it's so devoid of any sort of real content to where I'm not going to let it impart anything upon me, and I'm not going to take anything away from it, and I'm going to move on. And that's what happened with this show. I'm like, oh, it's another isekai. And I watch it, and I'm like, I'm not going to let this affect me at an emotional level. I'm not going to allow this show to ruin my life, which can happen, where I get so sucked into I get like not sucked into an isekai, but more concerned about the nature of media and about the stories that are told. And it's like I think an isekai is the equivalent of this point to a dumb romantic comedy that your girlfriend goes and sees. Like with her friends. Or
usually, even at least in those, the protagonist gets fucked.
Sure, potentially, and in this instance, it's there's nothing to really enjoy for me.
No, no,
and I don't see it. I don't have to. It's not for me. It's for people of lesser intellect who are going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't say that. I'm about as retarded as they come. I'm one of the least intelligent people I know.
That's definitely. I know the people you live with, and that's definitely not true.
And here I am, and I'm like, well, this is for people even below me, and I don't.
Yeah.
I don't look at it with hatred anymore.
Yeah,
I look at it, and I'm like,
if the IQ difference is more than 30, it's like you can't even understand it.
exactly. It's literally designed for people who are mentally children. So it's like watching Bob the Builder and being like, I don't like this at all. like what are you watching it? This is your fault. What did you expect, asshole?
Man,
like
we're taking down isekai on this podcast. Finally bringing it the ridicule it deserves. Let's talk about a good show.
No, and I'm not saying that I'm saying anything terribly original here. No, but this is it. Like, this is how I feel about isekai.
Okay, yeah, we both feel this way about isekai. Yeah, I mean,
I'll never enjoy it.
You would enjoy ReZero. That's definitely good.
I'm sure I would, and I'll watch it, and it'll be great someday. It's on my list. It's gonna happen. But in this moment, nay.
What? Okay, let's talk about Asobi Asobase, though.
Yes, me.
Asobi Asobase is a manga adaptation by Lerch, and it's some slice of life, kinda. Go ahead.
A little bit. Anyways, so there's this girl, right? You follow?
I'm following.
And, okay, and she has this older sister who just when she was younger.
This is
would
not
beat her
the premise
in,
of the show, by the way.
I know.
Okay.
This is the first scene in the show.
Yes.
So she's her older sister would beat her at games and force her to do horrible things based on the fact that they beat the game. It's like, hey, let's have a bet. If I beat you at this game, you have to do a horrible thing. And
They're
so
playing Reversey or some shit. Othello.
Our character came to hate having fun.
Mm-hmm.
Cut to modern times.
Well, no, she doesn't hate having fun. She hates bets. Batsugemus.
In my translation, it said having fun.
Ooh, I don't know. I don't think that's the. I've seen a few episodes of this. I don't think that's the thing.
So there's two other girls.
Yes.
One of them is quote unquote American. She's not from America.
She's a foreigner.
She was actually born and raised in Japan. Her parents are American, and so she's perceived as a foreigner by her own actions. She leads people to believe that she's a foreigner, even though she's not.
And then she has to keep the act up. Yeah.
She feigns ignorance of Japanese culture to get her way, and because she enjoys doing so. So they're in a classroom, and the American, because she is so boisterous, tries to get the damaged girl to play a game. And the game is rock, paper, scissors, and if you lose, you have to look away. And there's another girl, she's Japanese, we'll get into it. So the girl who's horribly broken loses the game, and she has to look away. So the American girl smacks her in the fucking face.
Mm-hmm.
And they play again, and this time the Japanese girl wins, and then she rapes the American's nostrils. She just shoves her fingers right up that girl's mouth. The girl's nose.
Oh yeah, isn't there a boob slap at some point?
Potentially. So the broken girl is bad at English. At this point, there's some sort of established relationship where it's like, we've spoken. Now I know you well enough to where I can come up to you and ask for you for help. So the Japanese girl asks the quote unquote American for help with her English homework, or hope in English, like she's going to help her study. But it turns out the quote unquote American doesn't know any English at all.
Yes, she's lying.
Not a lick. Anyways, the next day, the teacher calls out the American for doing poorly in Japanese. My notes are starting to break up here. And I wasn't even drinking when I watched this show. So the girl who's horribly broken comes to Olivia, the American, and helps her, and is like, hey, you're going to help me with this English stuff now. And Olivia tries to get herself out of it. And she's like, hey, let's play a game, and if you win this game, or let's play a game, and if you win the game, I'll help you with English. So Olivia doesn't know that the broken girl is really good at all games, because her entire childhood was her getting the shit kicked out of her and bullied because she couldn't play the game super good. So they play the game where, like, like you have a pen or knife or a pencil or something, and you're like, knocking it between your fingers.
Yes, the knife.
You're like
game.
tapping it between your fingers. Well, the broken Japanese girl is amazing at it. And this totally intimidates the American girl. And she does her best, but she still nicks herself. But there's no clear victor between the two, because they have an impartial judge in the form of the totally normal Japanese girl.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, they start a club. They start a club.
Pastimers
it's
Club.
called the quote-unquote Pastimers Club. And then there's another bit where like every bit has a title. It's like a comic or folk adaptation where there's like, this is one's called this. Like this brief
it's
part
like
of this episode is called this. Yeah, the chapter is called The Kind Pervert. So they start their club and they sit in a wading pool, right? And they start splashing water out of it.
They just have a pool in their club room, yeah.
Right. And one of the girls is jealous of another girl for having fat titties.
Of course.
And she's like, how did you get tits that are so big? And then the broken girl's like, I'm just genetically predisposed to have big boobs. And this breaks our other Japanese girl. Anyways, a passing teacher sees some water flooding from underneath the classroom door. And he's like, what the hell's happening in there? So he knocks on the door. And he's like, hey, what's going on in there, girls? And the girl's like, oh, nothing. One of the girls fucking peed herself. She couldn't hold it in. And he's like, He sees a vision of Detective Conan, and he's like, well, you got to find out if this is actually the case. And he tastes the piss, quote unquote, and he's like, wait a minute, this is just water. And he's disappointed in the girls for lying to him, because if it was piss, he would have known that it was piss.
Yeah.
But because it's not piss, he's like, hey, you girls are up to something. I'm disappointed in you for lying to me about that being piss.
When I'm really overhydrated, I always wonder how much like water it would taste. I've never done it though.
Yeah, most of the time when I'm drinking my own piss, it's not too salty. So he's incredibly disappointed in the girls, and then they fess to their crimes, and he's like, "Oh, actually, that's okay. You told the truth, and I'm cool with you now." And that's the entire episode. This show is about girls who do horrible things to each other while playing Japanese games or cultural games.
Yeah, we should mention that there was little context to all of that, but this is a comedy. This is a wacky comedy.
Yes.
And it's very like the comedy. It clashes a lot with the art style, which I like.
Correct.
In a way, I like a lot. Like it's a very like bright show, like very it's very
the
like
outlines aren't super filled in. It looks like, and like they're kind of falling. It's really washed out.
Yeah, the line art's very pencil drawn looking. It kind of reminds me of Hidamari Sketch or One Week Friends. And
but the tone is very like Nichijou or something,
right?
They'll have certain faces that remind me of Nichijou, the Kyoani version.
Yeah, and the whites are really bright, so it gets that sort of out of time storybook look. Like the backgrounds are often like they fade into white, so it acts like a blanket. It isolates you and creates what we call comfy.
It's definitely a take on this type of show.
Yeah, but yeah, I was one thing I was actually admiring a lot was the effort put into the variety and the originality of the facial expressions, which
yes.
does add a lot. And I checked, and it turns out they are just taken straight from the manga. But
I bet
they are varied, and they're very silly, and
they invoke a certain feeling for sure. I liked it. I think they needed to take another look at this art style, because for me it doesn't work to the same level that it works for you. But maybe like I found the juxtaposition to be a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean the opening,
because there are times where there's like it really feels like this is something that needs to be done in a more chibi style, but they do it in a way where the characters aren't that like they're obviously warped and distorted from reality, but they're never like cutesy.
Yeah, and the opening is just a straight up fake out. Like it's just a slice of life looking like pleasant, nice song, and then the ED is metal. It's just metal.
This might be subversive. Like, this show might end up being subversive in an interesting way. It's hard to tell from the first episode. As it stands, seeing one episode, I think it's... I see what they're going for. I don't buy in entirely yet. I think they could, within a couple of episodes, establish something that's very interesting.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes, and I can tell you, I still like it.
All right, well, there you go.
It's not too... A lot of Japanese comedies suffer from there's too many. It's all goof, so the characters never seem like people.
Develop in a meaningful way.
And it's not like there's never any drama, but at least they seem like characters at some point. It's not all just one joke to the next, and they're not always being cunts to each other. And there's a lot of really over the top slapstick stuff and visual gags, and the faces are. They always find crazy ass new faces, and I like it a bunch. I enjoy this quite a bit.
Yeah, I think the first episode just fine. I wasn't necessarily in love with it, but I see what they're going for, and if they can obtain it, then I'm totally on board.
Well, cool. And then the stinger for every episode is a bit with puppets. It's just puppets fucking screaming.
I like the black metal ED.
Right. Yeah.
Because it shows the creators really don't give a fuck.
Yeah, and it's just
that's it.
Yeah, it looks nuts. Anyways, our next show is is it?
I did not see that next show on our list.
Right.
So we have to move on to the one after.
We did not. Yes, we'll watch Egu some other time.
Yes.
So our next show is Jashin-chan Dropkick. Two wacky comedies in a row. Uh-oh.
Wow.
This is a manga being done by Nomad, known for Rose and Maiden, and Yozakura Quartet, the 2008 one, and Compfair, and one of the Milky Holmes seasons, and Venus Project, whatever it was called. It's about devil summoning, or the first scene is, but that's kind of a fake out. It's this one. I don't even remember what's happening in the first part of this episode here. I just said it might be too wacky. Might be too wacky for me. So we immediately get thrust into there's all these characters grilling. Doing the
little hot pot action.
Not yakisoba, but the hot yes,
pot.
They're making hot pot. So there's a nun, there's a cowgirl, like literally, not like a cowboy, like a girl who's a cow.
She got a shirt that's all got dots on it and shit.
A lamia, or some kind of land mermaid, who I think is Jashin-chan, and a pharaohess. And there's
that's actually Medusa. That's
Medusa, and I think there's another one that I'm forgetting.
There's like an angel.
Right. So, first of all, I don't get why the Japs are putting high quality, expensive meat into hot pot, which is like a stew, which is like you're supposed to use shit meat for that because it's not important. I guess you're eating it pretty quickly though, so you don't have time for it to get tender. So maybe you need to buy well marbled meat at the outset. What is
buying inexpensive meat for your hot pots? Okay, plebeian.
How many hot pots you make, fag?
I refuse to buy anything other than $25 a pound Wagyu beef for my hot pots.
That seems like that's basically what they're using. Yeah, I don't know.
Cheap beef in my hot pot?
Nuh-uh.
My hot pots cost thousands of dollars at a time. I'm consuming a normal person's wage every time I eat a delicious hot pot meal.
The city's changed you, man. A fancy ass hot pot. Nothing but morel mushrooms.
Anyways.
So there's the other one I wasn't talking about was the goth lolly. So, there's all these weird characters from different archetypes, different fantasy archetypes sitting around a hot pot table. So I was getting kind of a Pokemon vibe, except not as good. It was just a little too quick for all these characters. I don't know why they're there. I don't know why they're friends.
It's really introduced without any sort of backstory at all,
just there.
Which I on the other hand kind of enjoyed. I I liked it because we got their dynamics figured out pretty quickly at the very least, because their archetypes are strong enough to where I don't feel like I necessarily need to know the whole background. But that's me.
But Jashin-chan, they get into some argument. Jashin-chan steals all the meat. She's the meat stealer. She eats all of it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't really know why this show's named Jashin-chan. She's not really the main character. She's just like...
She's definitely at the center of all the antics, though.
Yeah, it's just she's never presented as... It's just like everyone's given kind of equal time. I don't know.
She catches the most abuse.
Oh, well, yeah, that's what we're getting to is, oh, Christ, there's a little bit of gore and cannibalism here because when she steals all the meat, they just eat Jashin-chan's tail instead. So after that, as revenge, as this sort of rivalry they have going, Jashin-chan is trying to kill the goth lolly. And there's an Evil Dead reference, or she's watching the movie. And there's a lot of the humor is third wall breaking. She's talking to the screen about their plans, and the punchline every time is that Jashin gets hurt really badly, like in a very gory
mutilated
way.
even.
Yes, she just gets tortured, mutilated. Just terrible, horrible things happen to her. And also another ongoing joke is that they just keep cutting to Baphomet, who's like flying around, just hanging out. One character has a line where they say something and the subs are also trying to give you what it says on a can, so it seems like someone's just shouting tomato juice at one point, but it's not. That's what's on the can. Anyways, Jashin gets hurt a bunch, and then that's the end of the show. They have her tied up to a chair, and they're like electrifying her and eating her tail. It's like a Sisyphean.
It's very morbid.
It's morbid
show.
I don't know, transgressive or something. It's comedic mutilation. It's not funny. It's not good.
I didn't dislike it as much as you did. Yeah, I don't know. I liked the bit where...
Were you wasted for this one, though?
Because it's totally straight for this one. So there's... I'm high all the time now, but that's irrelevant.
Anyway, last time you were high, you ended up enjoying Black Bullet, so I don't know, man.
I'm not... I wasn't actually high for all that. That's a joke. That's a gaffe. That's a gag.
Wait, which one were you lying about?
This particular one. This instance. When I made the joke at the beginning of the episode, I was not actually being sincere.
Gotcha.
But so watching this, I was totally sober, and I liked the bit where what is it, Jashin?
Yes.
She's looking for the most deadly weapon to kill humans with, and it ends up being a crowbar. And I thought that was a decent gaffe because it showed up in the news a lot. She assumed it was particularly good at killing people. And she has like delivered to her, and you think it's gonna be like a staff or something. I don't think it's great, but I had some fun with it. I don't know. I liked how over the top and truly sadistic it was.
I didn't have a good time.
Really, I rate most shows based on whether or not I want the girls to stomp on my balls, and then in this instance, ball stomping.
Everything's a 10.
Never turn down ball stomping from these ladies.
All right. Well, that's that then. Jashin-chan. I think we have one more, right?
We do.
One final show.
Uno mas.
This one's for the ladies, as they all are.
You hit your mic stand.
Oh yeah.
This one's for the ladies. Where are you, ladies?
Oh, we got you covered.
You sound like Axl Rose. This one's for the ladies.
Yeah. Give me some ladies. It's Phantom in the Twilight.
Yes.
An original program being brought to life by Leiden Films.
Boy, how original is it?
Yeah, and it's, it's one of the first shows we're watching this season that is post-apocalyptic in setting. It takes place in London.
Uh-oh.
So, so this show seems a little, I predicted it was going to be a little gay. I don't think it really is. It's pretty
heterosexual for the most part.
Right.
Or perhaps asexual.
So there's a coffee man. It's another hot guys running a cafe show.
But it's hot guys running cafe, comma, and then a girl shows up.
Well, it's hot guys running a cafe, but also there's Italian food and tea and coffee. So it's similar to Persona 5's LeBlanc, which is coffee and curry. Japan has this thing with restaurants serving two things that don't go together at all.
Coffee goes with nothing other than, like, pastries.
And, like, milk, yeah. Well, yeah, really sweet stuff, basically. But hey, we got more Kanahana. She's here. She's a mango.
Is that Sim, quote-unquote, Kanahanazawa?
It is. And she runs into this cafe, and she goes into a place she's not supposed to be. Then we get the opening. Then flash back. She arrives in England, and her name is Tone, and she's there with her friend. And so they're really good friends. They're on the train, and like I know they're supposed to be really close, but they get a little corny about it. They're just like, "You're my best friend. I'm so glad you're here with me." But then she gets mugged by a goblin rat guy. Literally, I'm not being, not using any.
Yikes! It's culturally insensitive.
Yeah,
it's man.
Pickpocketing technology.
They're called chavs.
Pickpocketing technology is accelerated like a motherfucker in London. Because the dude's just invisible. But don't worry. This thieving demon is gonna get a really serious asbo later from the London cops. So the ring, it stole a ring from her, which gets handed off to some monocle dude.
He's got an undercut.
Yeah.
A pretty boy undercut.
So then we find out that this girl who's arrived in London is some kind of witch or some shit. And I just wrote face touch. Someone's face gets touched.
There's one of the pretty boys at the cafe touches her face a lot. And he's like, wait a minute, are you this lady?
Oh, right. One of my notes is just she. What the fuck? Wait, what?
I don't follow that.
Maybe I was going to write something. I don't know. Oh, I guess
my notes on this are pretty good.
Too. She's special, and the restaurant dudes like her now because they knew her great-grandma.
She was able to walk through a mirror, man.
Well, they knew her great-grandma. She was the founder of the place. So there's magic, obviously, but for some reason these guys can't admit to this girl that they're immortal. And their cafe that they run, which was founded by her great-grandma, is called Cafe Forbidden, which is not what I would call my restaurant.
No, you want people to go to it.
Yeah. So they're getting ready to take out this goblin guy. I don't know a lot about London, but I don't know. It might be one of those quote unquote packies they talk about. I don't know what that means, so I can't be held responsible if that's something bad. But
we're gonna have to cut to a Native American person and like a sensor sound as we cut to the show's over, and there's some color test bars on the screen. Please stand by. Elevator music. So when they're going after this goblin guy, they got to put on their somewhat Nazi chic jackets. I was also considering the Nazi party. It's very invocative. Nazi digs. Right. Which, again, Nazis didn't actually end up putting foot in fucking London, you fucks. Trying to retroactively add them in there where they don't belong. We brought those fuckers back to Berlin. So the that sort of imp who stole the jewelry is in fact a Chinese goblin. But she follows the guys to the park where they're chasing after this thing, and she gets the ring returned to her by Monocle Guy. And then all of these handsome cafe men fight the goblin with their magical powers. One of the guys has a giant machine gun. It's all ridiculous. Pulls a fucking magic gat. But then they run into a Spriggan, who this fucking bitch decides she's going to be the one to fight. I don't know why. So she grabs a bunch of chains out of the ground, apropos of nothing, and beats it, but then they decide she shouldn't know any of this has happened, so they rewrite her memories. And then I think in the stinger of the show after the credits, her friend gets sucked into her cell phone. Oh no! So setting up the next
thing. So she's gonna run into the guys again. She's gonna get involved. No thanks. That's a no from me, Chief.
Yeah, this seems like a show for people that I'm not like.
People with the vaginas.
They got the vagoos! And they want to smack their vagoos while they watch something, which I understand, because my instincts are, I see something that I find to be sexually arousing, I just want to smack my shit around to it. And I guess, but there's nothing even super sexy about this show.
There is
really.
Nothing
like,
really that
it's more
arousing.
Like, it's,
who
is this show for? Because women, look, women, we joke on this show. Let's get really serious for a bit.
Wait, were you joking?
I know someone with pretty good taste. What are they looking for here? What is anybody getting out of this show?
Didn't we? Yeah. Did we say this was original? Or,
I think we did.
That's weird. This is not gonna be successful.
Who is looking for this show?
Like the dudes are not very well characterized. There's nothing much going on here.
They're so bland. They might as well all be from the same mold, really.
Yeah, not very much redeeming about that one. So this episode was kind of a dud. Well,
I didn't like it.
Asobi Asobase was good. Hataraku Saibou was fun in some ways.
I think I enjoyed that more than you did. You did.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the next one will be better.
Yeah. Well.
Ha 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 ha.
At least we get to talk about Agoo. And
always ready to talk about that Agoo.
And some other stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, in the next episode, you can find us talking about the quote-unquote light, antique mystery. And
the show about vampires.
A show that is a traditional historical epic that centers around samurai defending Japan against the first Mongol invasion in 1274.
I've seen that.
Also, you'll find us talking about a strange group of people carrying musical instrument cases that land in Tokyo Station. They're called Yakers who came to hunt vampires.
I think isn't that the same one?
Stay tuned!
That one.
Stay tuned for the next episode. Stay tuned.
We're
going to talk about the franchise that centers on quote-unquote Starlight, the song and dance review troupe.
We're good on that. Yes, thank you. See ya.